Hey guys, I want to speak to you about the importance of sleep and chronic fatigue, or the relationship between the relationship between sleep and energy, and all aspects around it, and also what we can do to establish a healthy sleep routine, or even evening routine, to promote a good night's sleep. And I think, first of all, needless to say, is that when we sleep well, we have more energy. We just feel recharged and fresh to start the day. But quite often when we're chronically fatigued, our sleep patterns or our overall sleep may not be of very good quality, and there can be a number of reasons for this. But what I'd really like to bring to the surface is the idea that we are oftentimes so attached to having to have a good night's sleep every single night. And that causes an awful lot of stress in itself. Like, oh my God, I didn't sleep well again. Shit, I feel awful. Or I'm not sleeping well. I'm not going to function tomorrow. You see how there's all of this stress and all of this fear within that? That is already taking our energy from us and preventing us from actually sleeping and getting rest. Because sometimes really just getting a good night's sleep just means to rest in the right way. And what I found is that the more I kind of get freaked out about, I'm not sleeping and this is keeping me awake, blah blah blah, that's actually fear talking here. Because sometimes the body just needs to do what it needs to do, whether that is fast asleep or half awake, and whether that's uncomfortable or not. I think when we get too hung up on the idea, like, but I must sleep and I must sleep for 8 hours because otherwise I can't function, there's something else running there in the background. So if you find yourself maybe sometimes in the evening or at night stressing about how you're not sleeping, maybe we can just shift our mind a little bit and just see if we can trust the body to know exactly to do what it needs to do in every single moment, that it is already supporting itself and it knows what it needs. And if we can allow that, whatever that is, there's a shift that happens that's just very relaxing, very accepting and restful. So that's the one side of it. If we get too hung up on the idea, I must sleep really well and I'm not sleeping well, it's all of this is driving itself into more stress, into more tension, into more anxiety, and into more chronic fatigue. So maybe we can also just see what's arising for us in that moment. What is really the problem here? That we're not functioning the next day? That we're going to be in pain? Or that we're going to be fatigued? Or is there something deeper than that? For me, there was a few things actually that stopped me from getting a good night's sleep, and I could see that this was just a cycle to perpetuate the suffering. So for one thing, like I mentioned already in one of my previous videos, was that I was lacking the nutrients and the nutrition that my body needed. So I would just wake up in panic attacks and just almost feeling starved, having to get up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning just to eat because I was so hungry. Those were the extreme times towards the end of, you know, my healthy diet. I'll talk about that some more in future videos. But that was one of the things. Another thing was just fear. There was so much fear in my body, so much fear. And all I could do at times was just to regulate the nervous system at 3 in the morning or whatever time it was. And sometimes I was really terrified to just even go to sleep because I knew it would just keep me awake. But really what helped in those times was to again just see that my body just needed to do what it needed to do. It needed to show and express to me what was going on. And if I could just allow that, I could really just relax into that. Even now, when I don't sleep well, there's either something I'm not looking at or there's something that my body just needs to work through. And that's okay. Another thing for me was related to the fear is the emotional repression, which I probably talk about in every single video I post or record, because that has been such a huge part in every single suffering that I've experienced, physically, mentally, energetically. So when we don't express our full true nature, all of our emotions, especially anger, but it also goes for all of the other emotions, how can we protect ourselves when we're not able to say no, or fuck off, I don't want that, or this is not right for me, or yes, this is totally right, I invite that in? What if we can't do that? Well, that's terrifying. Of course the body is going to be terrified because it's in a continuous state of fear that it isn't protecting itself, that, you know, that it's kind of just exposed to things that it doesn't want to do, so, to things that may even be harmful. So if there isn't the expression of anger, or even the expression of, you know, this is how I'm feeling right now, to share yourself and to set boundaries, or even to connect with people, then there's going to be fear, a lot of fear, which can affect the sleep cycle. This was very true for me. And so, like I said, there's a lot of reasons that may be behind this. It's the pressure of having to get a good night's sleep, or of having to function the next day, the pressure, the stress that we create ourselves. It could be nutritionally something is really lacking. It could be repressed emotions, or some kind of trauma that hasn't been processed and that wants to come to the surface now, but it's like, no, I'd rather not feel that. Could be any of those things, where our body is just trying to work through something or bring something up that may still be resisted by a part of us. So how do we establish a healthy sleeping routine? Which can be helpful as long as we don't, again, cling to that either too tightly. But a healthy sleeping routine for me, I think, is winding down at a certain time pretty much every day. Sounds incredibly boring, but now what? What are you going to do? Be boring. I think if you live an exciting and fulfilling day every day, there's also space to be boring at certain times. And for me, the evenings are certainly that. So do something that you really maybe enjoy, or that calms you down, or that doesn't necessarily engage the mind too much. I'm not going to go into the, don't watch TV, don't look on your phone, blah, blah, blah. Because everything is relevant in a way. If you have a hunger for information, naturally, well, then you might want to do some research, but maybe not 5 minutes before you go to sleep. But certainly in the evenings, just something that kind of feels good for you. And maybe half an hour or an hour before you go to sleep, that's when you start your routine of, cleaning your body, whether that's taking a shower or brushing your teeth and all of these things. Maybe take a meditation session or a body scan, something like that is really, really helpful to just tune into the body, and also reflecting on the day. Just reflecting on how the day has been, if there's been anything that's been kind of not processed or that was unpleasant or something that maybe even really excited you. Just to reflect back on the day and just allow the emotions to come up if there is any related to a certain event, and just process the day by day. And you could journal, but I would also, if you are journaling, also invite you to just take a breath in between into your body and just feel how it feels and how it responds, because I think that's key. Real deep connection to the body, not just processing mentally, but fully, wholly, in every way. Because if we kind of make peace with the day, we don't really have that much to be upset about at night. I also like to put some lavender oil. I have a little pillow that I have next to my big pillow. Put a little bit of lavender oil on it, because the body remembers certain patterns. It remembers when there's a certain smell, oh, that means sleep now, that means winding down. Especially, it's something soothing, so choose an oil that's really, really soothing and calming, like lavender or orange, rose, anything that's kind of really, really calming to the senses. And the body will remember, it's time to sleep. Also, don't spend too much time in bed during the day, maybe on the sofa or in a spare bedroom. But in your bed, your body remembers that is the space where I go sleep, and that's all I do there. So don't do too many activities in your bed, like reading or playing on the computer, playing on the phone. Leave all of those things out of the bedroom and really just have that be your sacral, not sacral, sacral? Let's go with sacral. Let that be your space for sleep and sleep only. Maybe there's any other kind of little routines you could build into your evening to remind your body this is what we do and this is what we do every day before we go to sleep. And trust me, after a few days already it'll remember and it'll know what to do and it'll fall into its cycle, which is why the time when you go to sleep is also really important, that it is around a similar time every day, at least for a few weeks. And then if there's something coming up, a birthday or a party, something like that, well, that's okay too. Let's not get too stressed about it. Again, let's not get too attached to the routine. But having a foundation, I think, is key. And from there we can go off into different directions. But we have a good foundation to return back to. So maybe just play around with that. Ideally in Ayurveda we say we want to go to sleep or be in bed by around 10 o'clock. After that, the Pitta dosha rises, and that is more active, more engaging, more kind of until 10 o'clock, between 6 and 10, we're in the kappa phase. And that's designed to kind of just slow down, to be a bit more heavy, to feel sluggish. And if we can really fall into that, we naturally, our body's attuned to what's already there in our environment. If we stay up till midnight, we're more in the pitta, more in the kind of excited, driven energy. So if you have a lot of energy and you say, oh God, I can't go to sleep that early, just try it. Try reducing your waking hours half an hour, maybe every 2-3 days, until you're at around 10 o'clock, and stay with that for a few days or weeks and see how you feel, see how you sleep, if you're falling asleep better or if your overall quality of sleep is better. And sleep as long as you need to. So I hope you find this helpful, and I'm sending you so much love, and see you in the next one.